Hey guys, good morning to you. I hope you're having a good day so far. This video is going to be a dive into a bunch of new drugstore products. I've recently gotten just like this influx of new drugstore stuff from Ulta. You know, every now and then we just kind of hit that wave where a bunch of new stuff comes out. So I thought in this video I would apply that all for you. In most cases it's stuff I've had a little experience with so far, so I will definitely share whatever tidbits I can. It is truly the most still and quiet morning around here, so let's get going. I've already got on this. This is my Clinique Moisture Surge Intense. I don't wear a lot of this. Like, I don't slather this on. I feel like I just use enough to basically cover the skin, but I'm not trying to ever build up this product. It's really good in just a thin sense, and I just think it behaves really well under most foundations. So this is what I've been doing a lot lately in case I've forgotten to mention it. And then you know how it goes. As soon as your girl finishes up doing a video on full coverage foundations, somebody's got to come out with a new one. So this is the Revlon Colorstay Full Cover Foundation. It says matte 200. I guess this shade name is nude. On the back, the claims say up to 24-hour wear, no caking or fading, lightweight, blends seamlessly. The texture of this is really similar to something else that I've tried from the drugstore, and it's the L'Oreal Infallible, the full coverage option that comes in a tube that's like about this size. And I feel like they're both kind of a moussey texture. Do you see how that's squeezed out there? And it's like, it's not running all over my finger or anything. It's just kind of like almost a whipped feeling cream. It's like there's most definitely some thickness to the product, but also kind of a lightweight nature to it too. So this shade, again, 200 nude. When I was using this yesterday, I was kind of thinking, ooh, you know, it seems to look really good when I place it in this area, but all over my skin, it's a little on the light side. Live and learn. Sometimes I hit it right on the money when I order from Ulta's website. Sometimes I'm just confused. I've dampened my Real Technique sponge. Yesterday I was applying this with a brush, and I thought the coverage, while not full, was still pretty good, but I just didn't love like the finish on my skin. It is very matte, but it can kind of show. And I remembered my experience with that L'Oreal that I'm comparing this to. With that, I always felt the most effective way to blend it in was with a blender sponge, because the texture of it was kind of like this, a little bit thick, a little bit moussey, and it was like it needed some help sort of breaking down into the skin. So I'm going to see if I like this better when applied with a beauty blender. I would say that I do. You know, I don't think I help the coverage any putting it on this way, but like the look across the skin seems way more natural. Even applied with a brush and like trying to be really careful to not like shear out the coverage too much, I don't think this is a full coverage foundation at all. This is one of those classic examples of a foundation that's labeled itself full coverage, and you look up at your skin and you're like, well, I'm still seeing all the things. I'm seeing under eye, I'm seeing a lot of spots, I'm seeing redness, I'm seeing pimples. If the texture of this sounds appealing to you, or just the consistency of the foundation, the L'Oreal is very similar, but I think it beats this out coverage-wise by quite a bit. I think that's definitely like a really close to full coverage foundation. Not as full as the Maybelline Superstay, and so that's why it didn't make it into that video where I talked about full coverage stuff, but it just seemed like a logical comparison here in this video. Now, I do not have a brand spanking new drugstore concealer. That's one of the few things that I didn't get, so I'll just go for a different one here. This is from Makeup Revolution. It's the Conceal and Define. I wear this in C5. You've probably heard me talk about this before and how I feel this is my perfect shade. And I thought now that I have a little melasma kind of peeking through on my skin, it might be good to show you how this product tackles that issue. Flat brushes aren't really my favorite for applying foundations, but I do kind of like them with certain concealers around the eyes. When you're not bothering to correct and you're just using a skin tone concealer, I think the shade is so important when you've got any kind of discoloration. And so this shade just seems to really do it for me. Really excellent coverage, I feel like there. Then I'm gonna set that. I'm gonna kind of commit to at least the full coverage goal in this video. I'm gonna set with a little bit of my Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder in Fair, and we're gonna bake. And then we're going to play with kind of a barely used product here from L'Oreal. It's called the Brow Stylist Shape and Fill Triangular Tip Mechanical Pencil. So it's one of those little bit thicker, you know, brow pencils. It does have sort of that teardrop looking shape, which some people can find gives a really fast fill in. And if the texture of the product is right, I think that can definitely be the case and be a good thing. And then it's got the spoolie on the other end. And then I'm going to set it with my Brow Stylist Boost and Set, which I love. I love that little teeny tiny brush. But I'm using sort of the most formed little, you know, pointed tip, and I'm using that around the front of the brow. The trouble with stuff that's really got a formed point to it is that even though it's a twist up pencil, yeah, and it's gonna like maintain the sides of the product as you go, you're gonna be constantly rounding off the point. You know what I mean? But I really like the texture of this because it's not too goopy. I don't feel like I'm depositing like a bunch of cream in my brows, you know? And I can kind of brush through it and everything looks really natural. But that e.l.f., I tell you, the little e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil, it's like $2. Comes in some really good shades. It doesn't have any special shape to the tip, let's put it that way. And that works so, so nicely. Sometimes I feel like when I know that's out there, and even for other drugstore things you might pay double or triple the price, it's hard to make other stuff seem worth it at this point, you know? But if you like that thicker tip, you know, a shape that's not quite so teeny tiny pointed, that's pretty good. It did give me a pretty fast fill in. And then I take the Boost and Set in the dark brunette shade, this teeny tiny brush. Oh, it's so nice. Hard Candy came out with the first thing like this that I can remember, but I don't know why they wouldn't have kept it in their line. It's like that tattoo ink, brow tint, whatever, but this is so good. And the hold is really nice. Like you feel it as soon as it goes on. You're like, yep, something's holding on there. So next up, I'm going to dust away the baking. I won't mistakenly call that bacon like I did last time. I'm brightened and I am smoothed. And now the next thing that I got, tell me what this is a copycat product of. This is Ulta brand and it says Baked Sculpt and Glow. This was new on their website, 3-in-1 palette. They have 3 different shades that this comes in. And I ended up getting this one called Tahitian Sunset and it says Cool on the website. They also have one labeled Neutral and a really warm looking palette as well. But I just thought, is this gonna be any good? And is this gonna rival Laura Geller? Because she has the exact same looking product. I'm not sure if maybe one of those other compacts might have even more similar shades because like this highlight, the highlight in the palette I love so much from Laura Geller is the Baked French Vanilla, which is like a barely there highlight. It's kind of a nice like just brightening powder on the skin, but this, as you can see, is something built for more shimmer. So what I'm going to do is dip into the bronzer and it's very soft. Like you really don't have that happen with Laura Geller's products where you dip in and they fly around. It doesn't seem like a standard baked consistency here. Maybe consistency is the wrong word, but texture. The bronzer is really, really light. Okay, there I feel like I got a little more. Maybe it's kind of a buildable thing. Trying to bring some life to this kind of too light foundation here that I've got on. So here's what's up. I may come back to that for the highlight, but for blushes, I got these new L'Oreal blushes. They say Enchanted Scented Blush. What is that fruit exactly? I'm not sure because on the back it just says Enchanting Fruit Scented Blush. I don't feel like they all smell identical though. Like one of them's really strong and it smells definitely peachy. And it's this one that's called Just Curious right here. And it does look very peachy. So here's the color scheme of them all. And this one, I was trying to put this one on yesterday and it barely showed up. Bashful. It's peach but with a major like goldeny sheen taking over there. That might even operate as a highlight on some people. And then as you can see, compared to the first that I showed, this is the deepest one, 193 Charming. This one smells kind of peachy too. This one, however, very little smell, hardly any smell. So it's odd that that's not really consistent there, but this one has a nice bit of depth to it. It's kind of a dark peach, and I actually think this is very pretty on the skin, so I'm gonna grab a little bit of that. I'd call it a satin finish. As you look at it in the pan, like it doesn't seem like it would be really metallic or anything, but she's got a little subtle sheen. Yeah, it's a happy blush. It's a nice blush. I'm not sure that it's worth the price tag because I was just talking about a Makeup Revolution palette in my favorites video that's full of like these kinds of tones that I've got right here. And you'd pay like less than $10 for that. And these I think were around $9 each maybe. Oh, pardon me, these are $12.99 and the color Bashful is sold out. So that was the one I liked the least. It just gave off the least color on the skin. It wasn't quite enough to really be super highlighter-ish, and it didn't blush me up a whole lot either. The Charming one is the one I definitely like the color of, but if you're into scents, this one barely had any smell. Fruit scented blush, whatever that means. Actually, I don't think I'm gonna go back to the Ulta palette for the highlight because I got something else I'm itching to try. These are from L'Oreal. They are the Infallible Longwear Shaping Sticks, and I have one that's a blush and one that's a highlight. The blush shade I got is called Sexy Flush, and the highlight is called Slay in Rose. Drugstore's kind of been lacking a quality blush stick since I haven't really seen those Maybelline Master Glazes out and about too much, but I must say the texture of these feels perfect. The way that's blending out on the skin, this seems like a really subtle shade, but like it's blending out perfectly. You don't want a blush stick to be too dry and too like clingy to any one area. You just kind of want it to blend across the top of the skin. That's my preference. I'm gonna do just a little bit of this right here. Can you see where I put it? It's a soft pink, y'all. Okay, let's just blend lightly. I see that. Let's add a little more. It blends so beautifully, you know, on top of powders that you've already put on. That was just the way those Maybelline Master Glaze sticks were. Where did they go? I don't know. But now we have another option. That is a pretty shade though. I know I already had a little existing blush on, but I can really tell the difference when I put this on. Not a lot of sheen to this, maybe just a tiny hint, but overall it's almost toward a matte, it seems like. Let's check this out. Let's see if this is the exact same texture. Ooh. Could be pretty potent. Feels like it should blend out just as easily. That's a real accomplishment in a product, you know? I've tried to cover up my melasma, so I really don't want to put something on that requires me to, you know, dig back in under my foundation and work really hard to blend something. As I blended both of these products, I'm using a finger and I'm doing little circular motions and I'm not applying hardly any pressure to the skin whatsoever. And then you get that little glow there. From a distance, I like it. Getting up close, I don't love the look of it. It definitely didn't feel too dry to blend it out, like it was blending out perfectly fine. But when I look up close at the skin, it's not leaving me with like the most beautiful texture on top of my skin. It's not doing like a Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector liquid type beautifulness on top of there, or like the Makeup Revolution liquid highlight. Those are really gorgeous products, and this is just kind of I'm gonna use a new-ish drugstore setting mist to me. It's not been in my collection very long, but I've been reaching for it here and there. It's the Milani Make It Dewy. I feel like this really works. You feel like you're misting something very different on your skin. Most setting sprays, they feel like water hitting your skin, and this kind of feels more like an oil. I don't know. I feel like I can sense the results from this right away, like just seeing my skin in person. It definitely does make a difference. The first ingredient in this is water, and I do see glycerin as well, but it just comes out hitting your skin like a different texture than most setting mists. It feels almost like an oil spray, which doesn't really sound all that appealing because you're thinking, is that just gonna break down my makeup? I haven't noticed that happening, but I do notice an instantaneous kind of look of glow, but I don't over apply. Okay, let's move this thing along. We're gonna do some Milani eyeshadow primer all over the lids. Gosh, this is like squeezing out the last of the toothpaste here. I am really about done. I love this product. You guys know that. Everything kind of comes back to this product. It's my benchmark sort of eyeshadow primer for comparison with other things. And that doesn't mean it's gonna be everyone's tip-top favorite. Not everything's gonna work for everybody's, you know, skin texture, oiliness, what have you, but this works great for me. Another one that I've kind of been getting into a bit more recently when I shopped my stash and did my little bottom of the drawer, back of the drawer thing. The Urban Decay Anti-Aging. Like, I just feel like that's something I should be using. Anti-aging around the eyes seems important. Got a handful of freshly clean makeup brushes, and I just dropped them in my coffee cup. This end, and it wasn't all of them, but a couple of them just, they slipped right down into my cup. Is it a makeup brush? Is it a coffee stirrer? I don't know. I got this from Maybelline. It's the City Mini Palette Matte About Town. Take off the little sleeve. I've tried a couple of these City mini palettes in the past. I actually kind of want to dig them out for a minute. I have the one called Chill Brunch Neutrals and the Rooftop Bronzes. I recall not being completely blown away by these, but they remind me of just a reworked version of those iStudio quads. Do you remember those? They kind of looked like this sort of shape of shadow, and they were just all in a line of 4. The textures on a lot of things seem similar to that. These aren't bad palettes either. Like, there's some decent smoothness and pigmentation. I think color selection wise, they weren't like completely rocking my world, but I was curious as to what they would do with a totally matte palette, and it wasn't like there were tons of these. There was just this one. And we have 6 colors total, and it almost looks like we've got a little bit warmer matte color scheme here, and maybe something a little cooler, like a little more pink in these shades over here. But they are so smooth and really nice to work with. You're gonna want to tap off excess. Fair warning, like, you know, they can kick up a little powderiness. They kind of remind me of Lorac in that sense. I'm setting up the crease with a little bit of this shade. It's a little bit pinky, it's kind of light. And then I'm going to deepen up a bit with the shade right next to it. Oh, they blend really great on top of each other. But again, anytime your brush sticks into it, just watch out. I'm okay with that though. If you're going to give me a smooth, pigmented eyeshadow that's easy to kind of work with across the eyes, it's got a lot of nice mobility. You know, it's not clinging to any one place. If you can give me that, I'll deal, you know. I'll deal with a little extra fallout. Trying to make sure I get this little area blended. Then I want to highlight. I'm going to use this lightest one here. Just a little bit. Yeah, really good. It's been a while since I've done an all matte eye look, but anytime I do one, I'm like, yes, this looks so flawless. You do kind of achieve this really perfected look on the eyes that you don't necessarily get other ways. I'm going to use this sort of lightest beige, and I've got a flat brush now. We're going to pat it on the lid and around the corner, inner corner. I dig this, guys. I'm really liking it all on its own. In the times I've used it before, I've like kind of picked into certain little shades and kind of added them in on top of other looks, but it can definitely hold its own, and I think it's creating a pretty look just as is. Then I'm going to go down here to this color, which actually, as you look at it in the palette up really close, do you remember the quality that those IT Cosmetics eyeshadows always seem to have? Like, it's a fully matte palette, but yet the shades seem just a teeny bit verging on satiny. I noticed that with this darkest color, especially down here. This is a rich brown. Maybe just a little hint of warmth in this brown. I could see a lot of people liking this. It's just, you know, work situations, easy palettes where there's not a lot of decisions to make. While some of us live for palettes, I do hear from quite a few others who say, fewer choices, please. It's kind of blending around the outside here. I'm going to use some of this color, I think, on the lower lash line. Oops, don't forget to tap off that excess. That's pretty. I am applying just a little bit more of the darkest shade. Just trying it out with like a small crease brush instead of the flat brush. And as stuff shears out, there definitely is this kind of warm feel to these browns, like kind of an underlying reddish tone happening here, which is fine with me, but I think you might not pick up on it so much just looking at that at a glance. I am going to use my Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Highlight, which I, you know, love to put in the lower inner rim. Instantly Awake. I finally woke up in this video. Lash Paradise, one of my favorite kinds of mascaras. They now have a liquid eyeliner. Voluminous Lash Paradise Liquid Liner. It's got this long kind of felt tip. Seems very black. I have shaken it up thoroughly, and we're just going to take this across the lash line here. This is going on really rich. Like, I feel like this liner would effectively top off any look that you would do. You know, like if you had a really shimmery lid, it's just so rich and black. I am finding it pretty easy to work with, but I do have to like dip back in and get more like get more juice on the tip once I get to the end and I'm doing like a wing, which I hadn't done before with this. So that may kind of cramp your style, you know, like you get into that flow of applying your liquid eyeliner and then it's like, oop, I need more product. I'm gonna stop messing with it now. One of the biggest points of wisdom I can share with you about liquid liner is knowing when to stop. Here's another really interesting thing that this is my first time using it here. It's the Voluminous Lash Paradise Primer. You know I love the mascara, so we're gonna pair these together and see what kind of a look we come up with. If this is just gonna be a redo of the regular Voluminous Lash Primer, I'm not here for it. That really had a tendency of straightening out my lashes, and so I'm hoping this is not just a redo of that formula in the Lash Paradise tube. Ooh, okay, it's pink. Guys, it's gonna be kind of like my Givenchy one, which is also pink. Noted. It's a fluffy brush that really seems like Lash Paradise. Is it going to immediately straighten the lashes? Because curl is everything for me. If they don't stay curled, they don't look like they're present. We'll see, we'll give that a second and move on to the other eye. It does have that just light pinky look, and I think the shade is called Millennial Pink. So my kid's new thing is swatches. Like, they have seen me countless times, like, get something and I start swatching it on my hand and they'll reach out their hands and be like, can I have some swatches? Belle will say that. Biddy will just kind of edge her way in and I know what she wants, and once I give them one, like just a light, like, you know, shimmery shade, God knows they've been way dirtier than any swatch is gonna make them. But they get so excited about it and they're like starting to look at it, turning it in the light, and I'm like, okay, yep, they're feeling it. This smells, oh, it smells perfumed. What? Hold on, put down the mirror. That is strongly scented. That really gives me an odd feeling. Like, I just vaguely noticed it holding the tube close to me. I didn't really feel any fumes coming off the eyes. You ever felt that kind of fumey feeling? But man, that smells like a strongly scented deodorant or like a body spray that's kind of floral. Why would they put that much scent in a product like this? I hope I don't start to get irritation from that. I don't see my curl dropping really at all here. Should I put a little on the lower lashes? Why not? I don't want them too chunky down here, but why does it have that much smell? Lash Paradise doesn't have all that. No, not at all. Not remotely. Oh yeah, I plan to open up a new tube of Lash Paradise. I got this one that has like a little sparkly cap. The other one was starting to get a little dry on me. Probably my third tube of it that I've gone through. So whenever you're using like a light primer of this kind, I think you really want to let it get dry because you don't want the light color of it to mix in with your black mascara. Yeah, it says allow primer to dry before applying mascara on top, and it says infused with rose oil. This helps adhere mascara to lashes. The rose oil? Does it smell rosy? Yeah, rosy. Just kind of floral in general. Kind of smells like my mom. Let's put some Lash Paradise on top of this. Blackest black. The thing is, I already love this mascara on its own. Do I even need another step? I think when L'Oreal realized just how huge Lash Paradise ended up being, they're just like, all right, everything in the line Paradise. We need a primer, we need a liner, we need some blushes. And I'm getting sloppy. Got a few specks. A little cleanup. Go ahead and do the lowers here on this eye. I do not really like that primer on my lower lashes. It's giving me more than I want to deal with here. On the upper lashes though, you guys, I would have to say, I think it's giving me some more length, but at the same time, it's taking away some of that kind of fluffy feeling of this mascara. Do you guys know what I mean? When you just apply Lash Paradise, like, it really enhances every lash, and I almost feel like the primer, like, pre-stuck some lashes together a little bit. Going forward, I don't think I would bother to reach for the primer. I don't think it's doing that much for me. Here you go, guys. A little turn there. The length is not bad. It's just clustering the lashes together a bit. I'm gonna do kind of a mini try on here for you because I have these three from Maybelline. They are called Color Sensational Shine Compulsion Lipstick. And they say on the website it's Maybelline's first oil in stick lipstick. Has 60% reflective oils for an irresistible shine. I got Baddest Beige, Undressed Pink, and Spicy Mauve. So just three very different shades, I felt like. I've tried the Undressed Pink and the Spicy Mauve. This will be my first time for the Baddest Beige. I do like that if it's gonna be this format, they've got a tube going all the way up the stick. There's sort of a dip in the stick that I don't know if you'll even be able to identify, but I can really feel it as I put it on my lips. I don't know why they did that. This shade seems oddly clingy to some dry areas on the lips, like where it's smooth and shiny, it's smooth, but it's not just perfecting everything. It's a little thinner feeling than the L'Oreal Shine ones, which I absolutely adore. Although even some of those shades in that line have their faults. You know, some were a little bit more milky and didn't always give the most even color, but a lot of them were good. This does have just a little more greasy feel. That shade is okay. You know, I just don't think I'd leave it alone as is. I have a little dryness on my upper lip and it's definitely not making that look really great. Sometimes that's just the way light shades go, so we're gonna take this off and put on the pink. The pink I really didn't like. I didn't like this shade. It's called Undressed Pink. Just in a full-on sense on my lips. See how the color is pretty full with these? They're not really sheer. But like that color just 100% on the lips, and see how if you got any areas that need extra hydration in your lips that maybe aren't just the perfect texture, you know? These couple of light shades are kind of making that stand out. Yes, there's some shine, but I need more like treatment to the lips. A product like this realistically is gonna be my go-to when I feel like, okay, my lips are feeling dry, I need something really smooth and creamy, let me throw this on, it's gonna make my lips look better. Neutrogena Moisture Smooth Color Sticks do that, the L'Oreal Shine formula does that. Spicy Mauve, probably my favorite color. It's just a little deeper, and maybe the reason why I like it is it keeps little imperfections from standing out quite as much. See, that color's beautiful, and it's not accentuating my dryness like the others were. So I could get on board with that. But really, I don't feel compelled to really explore the whole line. Just go ahead, let your hair down. This is where we're at. This is the finished look. The blushes, I'm just seeing them here in my box. I really think they're kind of overpriced for what they are. The scent was inconsistent shade to shade, as in one, it was barely there, one, it was there really strong, and you can find those colors in so many other places for a better value. I just question that full cover claim on this stuff here. I don't think it makes my skin look that good from a finish standpoint and also a coverage standpoint. The lash primer, frankly, I don't think Lash Paradise needs that kind of help. Like, it's fine on its own for me. The best parts about this, I think I really like the City Mini palette from Maybelline, the Matte About Town is what it's called. I think that's a great little basic selection of mattes, and the textures are really, really smooth. This little dupe on Laura Geller, you only saw me use the bronzer today, and that was pretty soft and light, but these products as a whole seem to be a really nice texture, and I really want to work in the blush and the highlight. And I do want you to know that this texture on the Infallible Longwear Shaping Sticks, the Sexy Flush color, the blush, that's a very well done, easy to work with stick blush texture. So thank you guys so much for watching and experiencing these products with me. We'll see you again very soon. Bye.